What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to the Pitlane podcast. This is number 6 for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and what a Grand Prix that was. The second race of the season, and it just continued on from where Australia left off, and I think it might have even got a little bit better, to be honest. What do you guys think about that? It definitely got better, didn't it?
Fairly good. A good start to the season.
A very satisfying race to watch. Definitely.
Yeah, I think
it definitely glosses over everything that's going on outside of F1 at the moment, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, it's good when the racing takes away from all the crappy drama off track. I think we're all agreed Bahrain is slowly becoming one of the best kind of V6 era races. Like 2014 was great, 2015 as well, teammate battles,
Decent
and this
races.
year,
we're always seeing in battles. That's the thing. We're always seeing it's good with the varying strategy. It's a track that got way better when it turned into a night race. I think the actual spectacle as well really did improve. And it's a solid race circuit. And I like the fact that it's round 2 because normally round 2 is Malaysia, which is debatable, good-ish. It's not the best track. It's been around for a while, but we've got that later on in the season instead.
Yeah, so I'll do a little run through of the results. If you haven't seen it so far, this is your chance to click off. But obviously, if you have watched it, Nico Rosberg came home with the second win of the season. Brilliant stuff for him to get 2 in a row, and obviously he's continued on from last season, continuing to win. We got Kimi Räikkönen in second place for Ferrari. If you didn't know already, Sebastian Vettel retired from the race, or even before the race began, with an engine failure. Lewis Hamilton third place after a poor start and a little incident with Bottas, which we'll talk about later. Ricciardo in fourth place, Grosjean in fifth, which is absolutely fantastic for him. Verstappen sixth, Kvyat, good recovery to seventh place. Massa and Bottas eighth and ninth respectively, and then Stoffel Van Dorn in 10th place for the last points paying position. What a top 10, and as we said before the podcast died, a lot of drivers are up for driver of the day, that did such solid either recoveries or just generally solid drives. So what do you guys think? Who personally for you was the standout person in this Grand Prix?
Well,
I've got a driver. I don't know if you've got one, Callum, but I'm gonna go with Roman Grosjean again.
Exciting.
Fantastic race from him. Really good strategy from Haas. Obviously, they were in a really good position after qualifying in P9, I believe, so they got the free tyre choice, and they made the Supersofts work absolutely beautifully. They had no tyre wear, so they could take them nice and long, and they just strapped on the softs at the end, took it to the end, and it was a fantastic race from them, and they kept it really, really good and clean and flawless.
Yeah, I've got to agree. But I think it's also worth noting the other drivers that are in for driver of the day. Obviously, the new thing.
Yeah, many.
If anyone that follows me on Twitter, they saw that I tweeted out from the F1 thing that I voted for Stoffel Van Dorn because it was his debut and he got points. A fairly incredible drive from him. You've also got Pascal Wehrlein, who got a very solid
13th place. 13th. Great stuff.
Very solid. After the hype around Australia, then they drop off, and then they've all of a sudden come back again with some solid pace, and basically Wehrlein outclassing his teammate. As we predicted that anyway, but he completely outclassed his teammate.
I think it's a bit more than what I expected, though. I think it's
maybe
unexpected for me.
But then again, Wehrlein has had experience in a Mercedes. He had the experience in the 2015 Mercedes.
True.
But there's them three that I think really had a solid race. But I think Grosjean kind of comes out on top just because he's got fifth place. Yeah. In a Haas, brand new car, although there is the argument that it is Ferrari assisted, but I'd rather them be scoring points than doing what a Caterham or whatever it was, a Lotus, Virgin and HRT back in 2010 where they were absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, I think that was the argument Martin Brundle made. Like, you'd rather have a new team come in that had some assistance and was actually in the race rather than just trundling around as basically just there.
Maybe just a bit of assistance from Ferrari, then they can go off on their own. I think that's the better way to do it.
It's still different because even when you see a new team come in, they keep on saying about Toyota was the last team to get points in their debut, but even Toyota's like a manufacturer, factory brand make. Haas isn't technically, they don't make road cars and engines. They're a sports name, so they still technically as a HRT or a Lotus or a Virgin, they still need assistance in a way. It's not like Renault.
Yeah, they're not going to obviously make their own engine or anything like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I also thought Danica Kvyat did absolutely amazing to get 7th place from where he was,
also.
which was 16th on the grid, I think. Absolutely fantastic.
15th. I think.
15th.
Yeah, 15th. So just 15th. Wonderful for him because he was so down about it after qualifying. He was saying I'm just fed up with his shit. And to get 7th place, really great job for him. But his teammate also outshone him a little bit. 4th place for Ricciardo, which again, I think it's just a shame in a way. Like, if the Red Bull had a good engine, I feel like there could be the third team that we'd be debating about challenging for the title.
They're basically the best of the rest. Well, Ricciardo's definitely best of the rest at the moment. Is picking up 4th place, although technically it'd be 5th, but obviously with always retirements and whatnot at the front between the Ferraris and the Mercedes.
Well, if we're lucky, obviously, because they've got a Renault engine, Renault's project is a long one, like a long-term project. But if you give Renault a bit of time and they can develop the engine, like they supposedly fixed part of their engine without any tokens over the winter, and they've got loads of tokens to spend. So if hopefully Renault can gradually progress, that will also hopefully, you'll see that benefit on Red Bull as well. So you might see 2 teams sort of advance at the same time.
Well, it is worth noting that we saw plenty of overtaking action from, we saw Magnussen going
really everywhere,
powering past people on the straights with a DRS assistance, but it's good to see that Renault is actually giving the Renault car some at least, to actually see them flying past people. And actually, like we saw, I think it was Magnussen saying that Manor was so quick in the straight line like a rocket or something. And that's the Mercedes engine. It's like the VTEC kicked in, yo.
They were a rock in a straight line, an actual rock. So it's literally just stuck there right in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
No way through. Yeah. Did you say Verstappen's on a Renault?
No, Magnussen.
Oh, okay.
Right, so as a whole, that was a really good Grand Prix, and I think we're going to agree so far. 2016,
fantastic.
2016 is already top 2015 in terms of
in the race
action. Yeah, in the race. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff that we won't go into because we've already said so much about it in previous podcasts. If you have missed it, 5.5 was when me and Tom talked a lot about that. But the racing has been class stuff. So let's go team by team. So we're going to start off with obviously the race winner, Rosberg and Mercedes. So what did you guys make of the incident with Bottas and Hamilton? There's a bit of debate. Some people saying it's a racing incident. Others saying deserved penalty. What are your guys' thoughts?
Racing incident. I don't think it was enough to warrant a penalty for Bottas, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Hamilton, but I'm going to try and be unbiased here. I honestly think Lewis left so much space. Why not go for the gap, in my opinion?
I think it was a classic turn one sort of incident. Someone tried to Bottas. I think at the end of the day, Bottas did at the end of the day, he did crash into Hamilton. That was obviously, it was normally the driver behind's fault. I said that it was a bit harsh. I thought maybe a 5 second would have been better. Although some people do have the argument that Hamilton did lose over the race distance. He did lose a lot of time from the damage that he got, and also just the fact that he dropped so many positions off the start. But I thought it was a little bit harsh for Bottas, but I don't think. I think
had he spun him round completely, then he sort of got away with it. So I think it was alright. I mean, if you look at Ricciardo and Kvyat, they all got end plate damage and they all went fine, and Bottas himself. So I don't think it was that bad, especially he's in Mercedes. So
yeah, it was quite a tight squeeze. Like turn one, Bahrain's quite awkward in that way.
Well, yeah, it's not like a very tight corner.
It's not the normal sort of hairpin. It's like it gets sort of even tighter as you go on through it. So yeah, tough day in the office for Hamilton, obviously.
But he did well to come back.
Yeah, he's recovered, and he felt, at least from what I saw on the podium, he seemed pretty
dodgy strategy,
chirpy about it.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's because they can't communicate, but still dodgy strategy though. How I think it was when Kimi sort of triggered the last pit stop for softs.
Oh yeah, they left him out.
Rosberg came 2 laps after, and then Hamilton came in another 2 laps after. It was all a bit dodgy, but he did well to come back in third. And then obviously, speaking of Rosberg, a very comfortable, commanding, perfect performance. Got the perfect start. Jumped Hamilton straight off the go.
Solid job.
Managed to avoid the contact, and he literally ran the show.
Yeah, he's just so far 2016 perfect stuff for him basically.
Indeed.
Yep,
just had an easy race, and I think that's pretty much all to say for Mercedes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like we could talk about other people, like we could talk about how bad Williams were, or we could talk about this. But at the end of the day, Rosberg just got the job done. Yeah, that's all he needed to do.
Yeah. Worth noting, he did a lap up to 7th place.
Yeah,
very impressive.
Yeah,
quietly impressive considering there wasn't that many fastest laps from Mercedes themselves. There
was a few fast laps. We had Grosjean going fast at one point. Ricciardo even got a fast lap at some point.
Perez, Kvyat, everyone had a few fastest laps.
Yeah, Rosberg just controlled it. He did what he had to do. I think it was Brundle that's at the end. It was like Prost, just finishing the race in first, the slowest time possible, just doing what you need to do and just take it calm, not to break the car or anything like that. So moving on to Ferrari, Kimi Räikkönen in second place. Obviously, Vettel, engine problem at the beginning of the race. Such a shame for him. And as Tom was saying before, you were saying about what happened in practice, it was, maybe like not so surprising in a way, like because there were some niggling issues that were a little bit concerning, to be honest.
Yeah, there's an issue with the engine at least.
I told Arif before we went on the air Vettel did complain about the car feeling sick on Friday. Literally before the left rear wheel incident happened, whether the left rear made a sound or something that put Vettel off. If the car felt sick, you normally relate that to the engine. Now, whether Ferrari managed to fix the engine when Vettel pulled over and they had a look at the car overnight and tried to fix it, who knows? Because they didn't say anything. They kept on the lowdown because the focus was actually on the tyre itself and what had happened. Yeah. So maybe Ferrari got away with it, but the seeds could have been planted there. Even though obviously Vettel did qualify perfectly fine, maybe something must have happened or there was a bit of a risk at some point. But
something triggered something that led onto something, which led a huge amount of smoke to come out the back and then make his first DNS. Which was very surprising. DNS.
Oh, yeah, DNS.
Did not start.
Didn't start. Yeah,
a very... It's surprising. I couldn't get over
That's
that.
Weird
That's
to hear.
A long time.
It's very odd to hear DNS. You don't hear it very often.
DNS, but
it's a shame. It's such a shame. Yeah.
It's weird because you hear other drivers not start all the time. Like you see, obviously, Kvyat last time out. It's a very weird thing. It's not something
start? Did Palmer start? Did
Palmer?
Palmer. That was very weird. We completely forgot about him. He was also another retirement.
He
came into the pits at the end of the formation lap.
Yeah, so Vettel pulled off basically on the back straight, wasn't it? And then Palmer just pulled into the pits. It looked like he was maybe going to line up behind Magnussen, but then I think he just pulled into the garage and they just said they couldn't fix whatever the issue was. I don't exactly know what it was. I'm guessing maybe engine related, being Renault.
Not sure.
So we'll see about that.
Raikkonen. Worth noting, fairly solid result for him. Yeah,
always goes strong at Bahrain.
Good stuff.
I think it's his 8th podium at Bahrain.
And there were a few moves where I felt like it was like the old Kimi, basically.
Yeah, he was fighting through the field quite well. Like when he had his fresh tyres, he just got the job done. 2 or 3 overtakes around the outside of people.
Ricciardo,
got braking sorted out.
Bottas, I think it was at turn 4.
Yeah, and I think he did it with Ricciardo as as at turn 4. He did the exact same manoeuvre.
He had a really good race.
Great stuff.
And overall,
Rosewater again.
Yeah, it's hilarious that Kimi does so well at the track where there's no champagne.
Yeah.
And you could definitely see though, Ferrari are definitely back up the point that their race pace is far better than their qualifying pace. Even though qualifying they're still impressive, they look much more. They keep themselves much more on their toes and honest in the race.
Yeah,
and those sort of tracks where Ferrari were close last year were actually faster than them on the day. You could consider them to be serious candidates this year around tracks like Malaysia, obviously Singapore as well, and you could argue Hungary. So those sort of tracks you might have to keep an eye on Ferrari if the car is still as competitive in those sort of tracks as it was last year.
Yep.
Red Bull.
So yeah, Red Bull. So Daniel Ricciardo in 4th place and Kvyat in 7th. I'm more impressed by Kvyat, to be honest, because he came from so far back. But Ricciardo as well has done a great, solid job. I think he's, at least to me, he's been more of a team leader in this sense of like, he's doing the job in qualifying.
He's doing the maximum he can.
Yeah, exactly. He's dragging the car up as much as he can.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Red Bull can't be too disappointed. Like Horner's said that, they thought they'd be down in like 8th or 9th consistently. They can't really be too displeased with 4th place.
They've just got to be. I think at the end of the day, they've just got to be on it in the development race because I think that if they look behind them, it's very close. Like Toro Rosso are right there, and you've got also like a Haas.
Well, we say them, it's almost just they're hoping that Renault's upgrades come through because really their chassis is still
that's
good.
Still on point. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, we've got to see
not
Canada
really there
is what they're sort of hyping up. Canada as a big upgrade, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we're sort of waiting until Canada. But with Red Bull, like you said, I think they've got to be really proud of themselves, Arif, because if you compare them, really, I'm a bit disappointed in Toro Rosso, and at the same time, I'm really impressed with Red Bull. Not what I expected from the season so far. I thought Toro Rosso would be a bit further up, and Red Bull a bit further down. So Red Bull really have, you could say, weathered the storm to an extent, and then hopefully, like you said, the engine can improve a bit, and they can sort of get nearer to the top. But I'm really impressed with Red Bull so far.
Yeah, from what we saw from testing, I really thought they wouldn't be in this position. I thought Toro Rosso would be much faster than them, but really, solid job to just ignore the press, really get down, get grafting, and doing the job on the race day. So the next team to talk about is oddly Haas. I didn't think it would be that early again.
It's very weird to say that they're the 4th team
in 5th place. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Esteban Gutierrez, really unfortunate retirement for him.
He was in 6th.
So unlucky.
He's so unlucky.
Yeah, he was doing well. Like he would have been a solid 2 points paid position.
He was doing really well. Yeah.
He'll get points soon. I know he will.
Hopefully,
because that car's too good to not get
points. It's a shame. But Grosjean, 5th place, improving on Australia. I didn't think that was actually possible, that they could improve on Australia.
If they felt that 6th place was a win, what was 5th?
It's just 2 wins in one.
Jesus, God. And then Tom says, it was probably 4th, next, 3rd, 2nd, God, how far up? But you know what Monaco's like.
First in Monaco.
Yeah, you know what Monaco's like. But it's just solid. It's just so solid from them.
Fantastic.
They're just getting the job done. Strategy seems to be quite perfect because I think they went on maybe like 2 or 3. Well, no,
I think they did three stops.
There's 3 stops, but they used a lot of super softs in the race, which seemed to pay off.
Super soft, soft,
and then soft.
Yeah. So not touching the mediums, but they're just doing what they need. That's all they need to do, really.
It's good that a team like Haas has the balls, so to speak, to not use the hardest tyre, try to save pit stops, and just go full out racing on the most aggressive tyre they can go, and just go at it. It's really good to see.
Well, they had a bit of pit stop practice today, didn't they?
The first pit stop they did.
First live pit stop.
Yeah, I think they had one, didn't they, where the anti-stall kicked in. I think it was the second one. But
they had a little issue.
Pretty much a flawless race for them. They just did their thing. They went at it, and 5th place.
Yeah, it was great to see that mid-race. I thought perhaps, are they going to go conservative? But no, they're like, no, we can overtake some cars if we go on another set of tyres, like an extra.
Well, Grosjean's a good driver. He can overtake.
Well, yeah, it was a chance. This year so far, Grosjean's finally had his chance ever since 2013? Was it? Yeah, ever since 2013. He hasn't had the chance to keep proving that he's a good driver. And everyone's kept on saying it, that he is a good driver. He's just not been in the best car with Lotus since 2014. And finally, looks like he's back there again to prove himself as, a good talent.
Really good. And he's definitely carrying the team at the moment. Obviously, Gutierrez having a bit of bad luck.
Yep.
And he's doing the job.
His shoulders must be hurting.
Yeah. Oh, ouch.
Yeah, and he's back, yeah.
But,
the next team is...
Toro Rosso?
Williams? Oh, Williams. I was going to say Williams.
Well, Williams have dropped. We'll talk about them in a minute.
We have plenty to talk about Williams, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Toro Rosso, Verstappen. What do you make of that? I thought another...
Quite impressive.
Good solid drive.
Impressive, but I think, like Tom said, it's almost like they're not living to
we thought they would do better.
We expected them to be. Because we thought they'd be a little bit higher. But I think Haas have just burst through the door and kind of took that spot.
Well, obviously, let's not forget, I think Toro Rosso shot themselves in the foot with qualifying yesterday. I think they qualified 13th or 14th or something like that. They were quite far down, so they completely bottled the elimination qualifying. So obviously they paid a bit of a price for that in the race, starting so far down, having to navigate all the drama that went on the first couple of laps, having to avoid all the incidents, and obviously they didn't both get away. Sainz obviously got tangled up and lost. I think he got a punch, didn't he?
And
then eventually that led to a DNF eventually.
Yeah,
but unlucky for Sainz, who does seem to get a bit of rotten luck out of the two of them. Definitely,
8 retirements since the start of 2015.
Yeah, he's definitely.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's almost. It's getting close to almost half the races he started. Like it's 20. Well, maybe like a third of all the races he started.
So
that's very unlucky
real bad luck for him. Verstappen, though, taking the opportunity, especially after Australia, like the frustration he had, and obviously there's plenty of talk before the race about there's no real huge drama between the teammates. They're all fine about it, and he was just caught up in the moment a little bit, and he sort of he's kind of just like reset his mind and just be like, I'll grab a nice solid.
We see that with like world champions. We see that throughout. I don't see why it's such a big deal. I don't see why everyone was like, I hate Verstappen now because he's being a bit of an arse. Like we see Alonso do it, we see Hamilton do it, we see everyone do it. They all get flustered once or twice, and obviously NASA did it that race. I think it was, or no, it might have been Ericsson. One of the Saubers got a little bit annoyed and just said the car's crap. The car's just it's terrible. Obviously not the best for the mechanics back at home and everything, but it's just the drivers.
Well,
I don't see why
at the end of the day, they're
hate.
humans, and during the race, you get a huge adrenaline rush. You're not exactly going to think, okay, do I want to sound like a douchebag right now, or do I want to play it like you're just going to say whatever you want to say.
Speak your mind.
Exactly.
Speak your mind.
Yeah.
So the next team, Rob's hands together, is Williams. Massa, 8th place, 9th place Bottas, and I want to say Massa had a fantastic race, just going backwards and backwards. They were 2 and 3 at one point.
Before we get right into it, let's start from qualifying and that incredible radical new nose, which was basically the same as what they had before.
Oh yeah,
start.
The amount of hype.
New nose that was hyped up was
how
shit.
did that foul? So many crash tests. You actually said most of the one there before.
Amount of hype.
A couple of detail changes, but I was expecting something radically different, like maybe like the Manor or I don't know the Haas or something. But nope.
Like the media were reporting, like the tech guys were reporting, it's like a Mercedes style nose, and it's just the same but shorter and more chiseled.
Yeah, I don't see what the hype was about that nose.
I mean, they did have some new front wing elements which were different and much better.
We're always going to see them
but
anyway, to be honest.
The actual nose cone itself, it was just a bit of a. Why was there so much hype? Like, I'm more annoyed at the press than Williams, really. Why was there so much hype around that? Just once again, the media kind of being a bit too hype crazy for everything.
If there's one good thing that Williams could take away from that race, is that they've got the starts nailed.
Yeah.
But then they've got to finish the 57 laps in that position.
Once again, what they're known for.
If F1 was a 5-lap race, Williams would be,
it'd be
really
fine.
good.
Yeah.
Really good.
But it's a 57-lap race, and they need to actually realise that...
They would have got a 1-2 at Silverstone last year.
Well, they need to actually...
It's a
Exactly.
5-lap race.
Yeah, exactly. But they need to actually realise that the tyres do go off. And you might want to rethink the strategy, because the amount of times that they fucked up their strategy...
Yeah,
they were in a good position, and they just pit when they felt like it, and they fed right into traffic on medium tyres, and it.
So obviously Bottas didn't do many favours, getting rid of the bit of front wing, getting himself a drive through, and that's just damage limitation from then on, really. But
you could see it with Massa, just the medium tyres
Massa
really
was
didn't
nowhere,
work.
And I think Matty G on Twitter, he was just like, these are going backwards all the time. Yeah. Like he was saying, this is just whenever we see a Williams, they're going backwards.
Yeah.
We sort of expected it in pre-season when we saw the car. It's literally the same as the W37, and there is no.
Well, yeah, during testing it was like
progress.
There's not really too much. There's like some tiny little details that are new with the car. But apart from that, doesn't look like their same philosophy is like fast in a straight line, but not great in the corners. They don't even have that anymore. Like Haas were catching them up in a straight line.
Yeah, they're not even quick in a straight line anymore. I think that's one reason why they've gone back so much, because the rest of the teams have caught up.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why they're like, oh shit, we're crap in the corners, and now we're crap in the straight. Yeah. We're not crap, but you know what I mean? Like, we're not as good anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So
in 2014, when the V6s first came in, it was only really Williams and Mercedes who had, like, obviously
they were the
Mercedes
proper
power unit.
quick in a straight
line. They look
line.
strong, but now Ferrari, Renault are sort of quite a bit. They're not looking as good as they used to, and even
Honda power now is really quick in a straight line. We'll talk about that, but it is a slight shame.
McLaren. Williams, it stuns me in a way, because it's just nothing's changed. I don't know if they're really they're tight financially. There was rumours a while ago that they were sort of struggling a bit for money, but if they're really struggling, I'm hoping they're putting something away for 2017 if that even happens. But if not, it worries me a bit, because I can't really see a way forward for them unless it's.
I think they may be one of the teams that actually want the 2017 rule changes. Yeah. We've seen 8 teams say that they don't want them, and I said this on Twitter yesterday. There's a reason why, because we're technically already that quick anyway. But we'll leave that to the end of the podcast where I'll talk about that. But I think we've almost, if anything, if we're going in team order, we've almost missed out McLaren, because you technically argue that they're ahead of Williams almost. They're getting there.
I wouldn't say so, but they're definitely next.
They're next at least.
They're coming down the neck.
They're getting close.
That moves on to the next driver, which is Stoffel. I say driver because it would be team, but Jensen Button retired. I cried. Tears were shed. Van Dorn.
Tables were flipped.
Yeah, tables were flipped. 10th place for Van Dorn. Fucking fantastic. Like we said it. Me and Tom said it again in the the 5.5 podcast. The fact he's had no running in this car
at all, and
comes in and just gets points. Obviously, for me personally, I said this on Twitter. It made it more sour because JB got him at the start on lap 1 and was ahead of him before he retired. So it's a bit more sour, like higher. He could have been in that position. But it is still nonetheless so impressive that he's just come in,
McLaren,
he's not done anything stupid, and he's got it.
Yeah, McLaren getting a point this early is much better than last year. And to be honest, they've shown a lot more promise. They're definitely getting there. You can see, I think if they just eke a bit more out the power unit and then just sort of tweak out and iron out little wrinkles here and there, and then like Van Dorn gets more accustomed to the car, because I think he'd be driving in China personally. I think Van Dorn will still be racing in China.
I have to agree with you. I think the way FIA went about it in terms of Alonso's medical thing, and the way, from what I've heard from Alonso, what's wrong with Alonso, it seems like on safety grounds they'll just say again that he can't race.
When's China?
In 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks. But it's generally the problem with Alonso is rib injuries take 4 to 6 weeks to heal.
Yeah, I was going to say
broken ribs. They're very slow.
Broken ribs.
Yeah.
So
that'll be interesting.
But I don't think
back again,
anyone really should be that. Apart from Alonso fans and Fernando Alonso himself, I don't think anyone really would complain if Van Dorn's in the car again. Because everyone's
in terms of if you're a McLaren fan, just a fan of the team, you'll be like, okay, he can do the job. We know he can do the job now. The fact that
we're seeing a GP2 champion actually getting a chance and actually scoring points and actually proving his worth in Formula 1, I see some people be dead salty about like Van Dorn. It's like, oh, what's the hype about? It's like it's a new driver. It's a new driver on Formula One. It's something that you just
and he's a proven track record.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though yes, in the past the community's like hyped up drivers that have had track records. But Van Dorn's track record is something.
He's done
something
very
else.
well at Bahrain. I think
he's either won the championships he's in or runner up.
Yeah,
he's been very impressive. And obviously, you can see he's not exactly young either. He's got maturity because he's 24 years old. He's raced quite a fair bit, and you can see his racecraft and some of the moves he did. He's very, very mature in the way.
Yeah, he had a good battle with Perez, didn't he?
Yeah, lovely little dice with Perez. That was really good.
Yeah, and overall, I think McLaren's strategy was the right one. They stuck with the aggressive tyres. I don't believe he ran the mediums once that race.
No, I don't think so.
In the race, so McLaren did what's best for them. They stuck with the aggressive set of tyres, and
worked out for them. Great stuff. 1 point.
Very good.
Then we move on to the cars that won in the points. So we've got Kevin. I'll run down through them because I didn't run down through them at the beginning. We've got Kevin Magnussen in 11th place in the Renault. We got Ericsson in 12th, the Sauber. We mentioned briefly Verline, 13th place. We've got Felipe Massa, 14th. Hulkenberg, 15th. Perez, 16th. And then Haryanto in 17th. The rest of the drivers all retired, which were Sainz, Gutierrez, Button, Vettel, and Palmer. So, Renault, we've touched briefly upon them, about Cal mentioning that it seemed like at least they've got something a little bit in a straight line, but obviously still work to be done.
There's still work.
Car.
Yeah, you can see it's still Lotus.
I think if 2017 does happen, I think they'll not bother at all this year. I think they'll just go straight into next year, keep working on the engine, and then hope for the best.
They've got two solid drivers at least, like Magnussen showing that he's got the racecraft doing overtakes today. Yeah. I think Palmer proved his worth back in Australia when he did very well. And Palmer just got really unlucky today with reliability. Obviously, there's a lot of reliability issues today, but no, I think it's just solid. It's just they've got a solid base with personnel, but they need to. The actual car itself, I think they might pick up a few points this season.
Oh yeah,
not sure when. Maybe after the engine upgrade.
That's a good shout.
A street circuit will probably be better because if they
Monaco.
if they strap on a set of the hardest tyre and then just pound round and just keep track position, do a one-stop around Monaco as it would normally be, to be honest, but just getting that maybe a good qualifying and then they'll be up there. They will, but it's power-hungry tracks that they're going to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I think their case, like street circuits, like Monaco in particular, I think they just got to try and get the setup absolutely right, go blatantly for downforce, no straight line speed, and just try and get that one banker in, get into the points, and then just literally hold track position and just hope for the best. That's the best chance they got. Maybe Baku, I don't know how the circuit is. Obviously, Aarav knows, but we don't know.
I don't know that.
We have to see it. We have to see how it goes. But Renault, K-Mag did well, starting from Pitlane, obviously. Got 11th, just missed out on some points. The best he could do, really. The car, obviously, is not there, but not much to say about Renault, really. They're
it's like you said,
progressing.
The car's just we saw it in testing, aerodynamically speaking, it's just so. It's basically last year's car. The front wing's not incredibly complex. The side pods and the rear end really isn't that complex.
No.
So they just need to work on getting up. Well, hopefully for them, they'll have big upgrades in Spain. Obviously, Spain's going to be a huge thing for all the teams for the first European season, European race of the season. So obviously, he is hoping for their sake they can bring in a big package.
Moving on to, surprisingly, Manor.
Sauber.
Should we leave the ranting to the end? Because I think them two teams I think we ought to rant about. Because, I said this on Twitter about the bloody chairs, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Manor, they're going to get points this season.
Yeah.
They are going to get points. Pascal Verlaine will get points.
You can't say that.
Yeah, I can.
Arav's not allowed.
You went back to your word.
I can.
Piss off.
No, I can.
I'll stuck to my word.
I can.
Piss off.
They've basically
proved because I said I doubted because the way you said it pre-season, all the pre-season was they're really going to get in there, but I think they'll just grab points just somewhere, just about.
Well, they were battling with Force Indias.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
I think street circuits are going to be a lot better in terms of
I think
the chance for accidents to happen and for them to get in the mix.
If they follow what we've literally just said about Renault, if Manor do that, then they will repeat what they did in 2014.
Yeah, exactly.
And get some solid points. God knows where Haryanto will go.
A Mother Nature freak race, maybe like Nürburgring 2007, something like that.
Yeah, they'll be leading the race.
Or Kota, for example.
Yeah, Kota would be a perfect place.
Obviously, we're talking about Manor, but really specifically as Verline. I'm sorry, any Haryanto fans that are watching. Happen to be watching.
There are Haryanto fans.
It's basically the Verline show at the minute. He is absolutely running.
He's just great. He's shown his skill as a DTM.
He was right.
Proven.
Leading up to this race, he was saying if they can just keep the tyre wear away and try not to wear out their tyres too badly, then he reckons they'll be much more competitive. And you can see he's getting plenty of scraps all race round, really just, attacking. There's a point where I think he was pretty much last, ahead of Haryanto, but they went on a bit of a different strategy, and they got him back in the race, put him on some super softs, and they had a good old scrap with the Saubers. And speaking of Saubers, Marcus Ericsson had a good race for me.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. It was okay.
I don't rate him, but he did some really good defensive driving, in my opinion. I think he had a really.
But they're just still nowhere.
It was towards the end, wasn't it? A really good defensive show against Magnussen as hard as he could. Obviously, in the end, he did get taken. But as a whole, he did put up quite a good fight. And I mean, I sort of feel bad for him in a way that he had to do so much defending like that because the car really isn't up to scratch.
I think Manor could be getting ahead of them very soon. I think Manor have got more money to invest in them.
They're
right now, Sauber probably level, I would say, with Manor.
We kind of
just a little bit
ahead,
maybe.
That they would be the two back market teams, but Force India are dropping back a bit, to be honest. They're
15,
like going
16,
back towards...
Really odd.
Basically, Williams and Force India have kept the same car, pretty much. And you can see what's happening.
But they're just a slower car in general.
We mentioned that
we thought that Force India, this new B-spec car was good. But
it was good last year.
What's happened? I see a few Force India fans saying that they royally messed up the strategy, which is Williams-esque. They're basically copying Williams. I think they've got the same engine. They're basically copying everything they're doing at the minute. But
yeah, well, I struggled when I did the pre-season video for Force India. I struggled to find anything new with their car
it's like getting
because there really wasn't much new. And apart from their 3D printed steering wheel, there isn't too much. But yeah, if you're a Force India fan, devastating stuff. 15
I
don't
even like the look of the.
I was going to say,
it's weird. It's white.
I mean, they had some good scraps. They actually in terms of the racing they had. It was really nice.
Yeah, Perez got in battles.
In terms of positions they were in, just a real shame to see them there. And I'm sure they'll be disappointed in the post interviews and everything like that.
A side note: the Manor looked absolutely beautiful under the.
I like its livery.
Absolutely
really like
marvelous.
It
looked like a piece of art. I loved it so much. Definitely winning my heart.
I mean, me and Tom agree on this. The Red Bull looks nice. It looks even better, I think, a little bit in Bahrain. Just the way the matte paint doesn't have any shine to it.
They didn't do the glitter like we hoped.
Oh yeah, we hope they put some glitter in the red paint, perhaps. But obviously, aerodynamically, that's probably not a great thing. But
but Sauber,
nice.
Buy your mechanics some fucking chairs. They're sitting on the floor. These are your mechanics that put together your car.
Sauber, could you considering the colours of your car, could you maybe work a deal with IKEA and get them to sponsor you and give you some chairs?
Jesus Christ. Even Manu's got chairs.
Or just get one big
I can't believe we're having
and everyone lie.
I can't believe we're having this discussion.
Such a sad sight to see mechanics sat on the floor.
This is a discussion we're having.
Clapping, yeah, well done. Good overtake.
Yeah, it's just, just the I don't have any more to say really. Just, it's a shame. And it's not like I feel like maybe some people think we bagged on Sauber quite a lot in the past with the podcast, but it's not that I want to or we want to.
No, we don't want to.
It's just
we're
the facts.
Telling the truth.
Facts are that they just don't have the money. Apparently, it looks like, and slowly, I think eventually Manor will overtake them. It looks like. I mean, I said to Tom in the 5.5 that I need to be proven. I need to see something, because after Australia, I agree with Tom. Before Australia didn't turn up, I was like, okay,
what's changed?
They need to prove themselves in Bahrain,
and they did the job. Yeah, I think Bahrain wasn't that warm once the night sky dropped.
28 degrees track temperature.
Yeah.
I think it was the track more. We mentioned that as well in the last 5.5. That the Australia has never been a great track to fully give you the pecking order, because it is a very different sort of track.
It's a good start to the season, but
it's not a thoroughbred track that way.
No,
so
it is a street circuit technically. It is a road surface, so It's a bit hard to judge, but is there any more final thoughts?
We're coming to the kind of final stages. I thought just generally, I want to get your thoughts on what we all thought, just the race in general in terms of the actual battling, there was some... do you guys remember any particular battles that stand out to you that were really nice to watch?
I think there's quite a few, to be fair.
Well, Raikkonen,
I really enjoyed Raikkonen stuff. Just seeing him, it was great to see everyone also on Twitter, really getting behind him, because usually we're like, oh, for fuck's sake, Kimi. But, he pulled out and did the job, got P2, and some lovely overtakes around the outside.
I genuinely enjoyed Verline. He got plenty of airtime. He had some good off scraps, and also Grosjean as well. Grosjean had
Grosjean, it was fantastic to see Grosjean, the amount of hype when everyone was when he actually started overtaking pretty much anyone he came across.
Yeah.
It was just nope, solid. Go away.
But I think that Bahrain Grand Prix has actually just proved that we've seen midweek, and I don't know whether you two talked about it because I haven't watched the 5.5 yet, but
bastard.
I think it's 8. Sorry, but I've got travel time. No, I don't know whether you talked about 8 teams voting against the 2017
we talked about team
changes.
voting, yeah.
But I think that race proves that, and qualifying also proved that, although qualifying's in a bad state, the actual speed of the cars. If we want to go 3 or 4 seconds faster, we don't need to go 3 or 4 seconds faster. These mechanics have somehow managed to make these cars as quick as what they were back in 2006 or 4 or whenever the fastest cars were, back in the V10 era. And I said it on Twitter the other day, it's really incredible how well the mechanics have done to actually find lap time in this V6 era. And quite frankly, the cars look quite good. The cars sound quite good. I don't know what really the issue is. And just minor tweaks, and we've got look how much battling we had in the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah,
there was loads.
I said this in 5.5, and I've been telling Arif, amongst the shitstorm of bad tweets directed at me yesterday, which some people might know about, I did say we don't really need the 2017 rules to necessarily make the cars faster. I said this in 5.5 as well. Just make the racing better. So change the rules so the cars aerodynamically still are as fast, but improves the racing. Here I'm hinting at ground effect. Pretty much, but that's the plan. The car's actually fast enough. Hamilton broke the lap record yesterday, so there's no need to just think for a second. Hamilton broke the lap record today or yesterday. If you add on 5 seconds to that, which is what they're pushing for, it's impossible. It's going to be
stupid.
Well, then you get to a point where it's classic F1. F1 always has done this.
Impossible.
It's F1 has always done this historically. When it gets to a point where the cars are too fast for the circuit, they have to slow them down.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand after everything we do. 09 we slowed them down, we historically that's something F1 does because we need to
and it gives the mechanics a challenge as well.
It gives them a challenge, but also just physically we can't let them get too fast for the circuit. So I don't understand now how suddenly we're we have to take 5 seconds off.
No.
And it goes hand in hand with the qualifying almost that we're looking at the wrong thing. Why are we looking at things that are not wrong?
It's the racing.
Yeah, I mean, so far 2016, the racing's been pretty good. We just need to keep pushing for getting some good racing up front, right at the top end for the win.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you'll be perfect. We'll be fine.
It's like the bloody what they're thinking about aggregate qualifying.
Oh dear Lord!
Tom, when was that happen? When did that happen? Because you remember.
It's not. It's a bit different. It's going to be better now than what it was.
Yeah.
But aggregate qualifying
for 6
in 2005.
Races.
Yeah, I believe the system was they did Saturday qualifying as per usual. They do 1 time lap, whatever that lap is, that stays. And then Sunday morning, I believe, they did another qualifying session, and they added up both laps together, and that basically gave you your
the idea for aggregate qualifying
they're doing
now
2 laps
is
in each session.
Yeah, 2.
And it was awful because back then 1 car used to go out at a time and do their 1 time lap. So there's 1 car on track. And that was Saturday and Sunday. That's why it was so bad. Whereas at least now you'll get everyone circling the track. But I think it's a dumb idea.
Yeah, really.
It's not track time we need though. We need people on the checkered flag. We don't want to be sat here.
I disagree. I think we do need track time because 6 minutes of Q2 yesterday
that was
basically a false India.
Yeah, but what I mean is amount of
this
cars.
ties in quite nicely with Arif. Me and you said in 5.5, asking the people in the comments whether they wanted us to do a state of F1 sort of video. And I read the comments, and generally, are genuinely interested in us doing the video, so we could talk about this.
In 5.5, we were talking about Cal. We mentioned briefly the FOM stuff. Perhaps and also I've been seeing lots of tweets this morning before the race, after all the aggregate stuff, that people wanted a state of F1 for the sport.
Maybe
we might even have to do 2 different ones.
Week.
One for FOM, one for FOM, because that's a that's a whole different issue, and pretty much we could probably talk about that as much as the actual sport issues. So we might have to do 2. So let us know in the comments below if you're watching this far. If you're watching this far,
we're having to make that.
Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, thumbs up. Anyone else comments who you find interesting? If there's anything you want to ask us?
Yeah, I mean, in general, it's been just we're coming towards the end, so really it's about time to talk about it. Just randomly, let us know what you thought about the race in the comments below. It's always fantastic to see so many comments, and you guys talk to each other about it, which is even better because it creates a bit more of a community feel with everyone here watching the podcast.
And on Twitter as well. We see loads of tweets coming in.
Yeah.
So
left, right,
one
and
last
centre.
thing.
As soon as you talk about the podcast, people start sending in questions and thoughts and whatnot.
One last thing. Tying in with our predictions that we did. I don't think none of us got any of them right.
No.
Or the race.
No
one predicted Kimi to get second. And then no one predicted Lewis to get pole. We all thought Rosberg would. I think we all said Rosberg. So we'll have to try again next time for China.
Yeah, maybe.
We're awful at this, aren't we?
Yeah, we're shit.
really bad at this.
But anyway, I think we're going to wrap that up. So, guys, if you have enjoyed that, smash that like button. It'd be absolutely awesome. We're going to try and get over 1,000 likes on this one. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do subscribe to this channel for the podcast and to these two if you have enjoyed them talking about Formula 1. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. That was, guys, a fantastic Bahrain Grand Prix, I think. We can all agree we thoroughly enjoyed that, and we enjoyed talking about it. So we'll see you guys for the next podcast number 7, which will be a little preview for the Chinese Grand Prix, and I'm sure any bit of news that comes up it seems this season.
Before that, we're going to have a little run, aren't we? Maybe.
We'll see how the timing goes. We'll see about it. But
check Twitter.
When the video,
we'll
check Twitter. If you want to follow us on Twitter, that's when you'll know when the extra videos will come. But basically, guys, hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you guys next time.